What's up everybody, SpeedDemon8706 here, and today I'm going to show you how to clean that Xbox One. Mainly take it apart because honestly, you're just going to use a toothbrush and some canned air or an air compressor gently to just knock that stuff loose. It's a real simple process, but nonetheless, that's why you're here, so let's go ahead and stop wasting time and get to the video. So right here I have a previously owned Xbox. We've had this for probably about 2 or 3 years, and I'm not sure how long the previous owners had this before us, but it is dusty, dirty, and I'm sure it's just as bad, if not worse, on the inside. But nonetheless, it still works. It does shut off because it overheats, but we're gonna try to fix that. All right, first you're gonna need some tools. So you're gonna need a tool kit. I recommend with a Torx head, a flathead, a Phillips screwdriver. You're gonna need a box cutter, a toothbrush for knocking loose those dust clumps, some tweezers, and something to hold your screws like a small ice tray. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop this thing open. So what you want to do is you want to get on the side with the USB and the sync button. So all we're going to do is take something like a flat edge. I'm going to use my tweezers, and you're going to prop it under the right side. So once you prop it under the right side, it's just a few simple clips. They're not stiff, they're not hard. You just prop it up, and you can either use your tweezers or your flat edge to trace along the side, or you can simply just use your hands. Either way, it pops up really simple. Alright, as you can see here, it came off, and you can already see some of the dust and dirt that's trapped inside of it. You can see some of the dirt or the dust that's on the Xbox itself. Alright, next what we're going to do is remove this little clip. There's nothing holding it in. You simply just slide it out. It's right under the sync button, and you slide it out, and you can look at it. It's kind of an odd shape. It's got a couple little tracks on it, but just put that somewhere where you won't lose it. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn over the Xbox, and you can see right here you should have a seal. I'm guessing that's to make sure that nobody opens it to avoid any warranties. Anyways, you're going to go ahead and take your box cutter, and you're just going to go through that gap and make sure that there's no sticker holding the top and bottom cover on. This was already done. I'm sure somebody's opened it before me. I really don't know. But anyways, once that's done, you're going to go ahead and flip it over here, and we're going to go ahead and try to separate this. Now, I'm going to use the down and away method. So on the bottom portion, you're going to use your thumb or your hand to push down, and then on the top portion, you're going to use it to push away. Just like this. So I'm pushing down with my right thumb, and I push away, and it pops open. Now make sure you keep the space as you rotate your Xbox because you don't want it to close up and snap back into place. Okay, rotate your Xbox to where all of your connections are facing towards you while still keeping that gap. Grab a flat edge like the back side of your tweezers or anything, and there's these 3 clips. You're going to use the same thing, the push down and push away method. Push down and push away. As you can see, I'm freeing up those clips, and then you're going to be able to pull away on the left side just a little bit to free up that front portion of the top cover, just like that. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and lay our Xbox down, and just be careful. Now whenever we lay our Xbox down, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it towards us because we're going to open it like a pizza box. And you don't want to just lift it up because there's a sensitive ribbon cable. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull from the back, we're going to pull it towards us, and we're going to open it just like that. Alright, now as you can see, the inside of the Xbox is there, and right here is the ribbon cable I'm talking about. You don't want to pull too hard because if you damage that, that's not so easy to replace. Okay, so now flip this up, making sure that the case doesn't close in on itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the ribbon cable, and we're going to remove it. So it's kind of hard to get the angle because it's still connected, but you can see clearly right there is the ribbon cable. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our tweezers, we're going to push the edges of that clip. It's just a pop-in clip. So you pop out the bottom edge, and then you slide your tweezers in up to the top, pop out that top edge, just like that. And this cable has a wraparound piece of plastic. So just grab that piece of plastic and gently just lift it off of the connector, and you should be able to pull out your ribbon cable with no problems. If at any point in time you have a hard time following these steps, take your time, pause the video, and come back. We go through this step by step and very slow and methodically. Alright, as you can see here, the top cover is freed from the Xbox, and I just gently set my Xbox down so I don't knock loose any dust or anything, but you can see right here, this is the ribbon cable that was connected, and you can also see a lot of the dust that's accumulated over the years. It's really dirty and grimy, but nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and move forward. So what we're going to do is rotate our Xbox and stand it up on end like this because there's a couple of wires here we need to remove. This is the volume wire or the speaker wire, that makes the tone whenever you turn on and off your Xbox. So just simply disconnect that, and that next wire is the Wi-Fi wire connected to the Wi-Fi card. Just simply pop those out of place, and if you can't get it, use your tweezers like I do here. I just use that for added stability and precision. Now that's done, what we're going to do is lay down our Xbox and we're going to actually take out this Wi-Fi card. So right here, this is the Wi-Fi card. It's held in place by 2 screws and the Wi-Fi cable. So go ahead and just remove those. It should be a Phillips head. Take those out, place those in your ice tray or whatever you have holding your screws, and just gently wiggle this out of place. It's held in by a white connector just under that metal tray. And then once that's done, go ahead and disconnect the Wi-Fi cable, and this is what the Wi-Fi card looks like. Now that the Wi-Fi card has been removed, next what we need to remove are these 8 screws. Please feel free to pause the video so you can identify the locations of these screws for taking them out as well as putting them back in. When you take them out, this is what they look like. Once the screws have been removed, open the cover to the opposite side of the fan like a book. There's a cable there connected to the motherboard, and we want to make sure we don't pull or do any damage to that. Right here is the connector. Just simply grab in there and pull it out. If your fingers are too big or you can't, please feel free to use a pair of pliers or something to make sure you get that taken out. Once that's done, set that to the side, and we're going to go ahead and remove our hard drive. So it simply just sets in there. There's no screws holding it down to the motherboard. It's just set in there with its plastic base. And it has 2 connectors that you can just grab and pull, as you see me doing here. It pops out very easily. Once those are pulled out, you can simply just grab it and set it out to the side. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove our disk drive. It has 2 connectors as well. It also has a plastic base or a plastic stand holding it in place. No screws are attached. Just go ahead and remove those connectors and simply lift this out of there as well. Alright, as you can see here, the disk drive has a pop-off clip, unlike the hard drive, which has 4 screws mounting it to its base. So we're going to go ahead and pull this motherboard out of here, and you can see all of the dust and grime and clumps in there. But thankful to the powers of editing, we went ahead and cleaned this off screen. All we did was use a toothbrush and some air and blew all that stuff out, knocked that stuff loose, and our Xbox is looking good and ready to be reassembled. So in cleaning this, I did this off screen because there was a lot more dust and a lot more clumps than I anticipated. So I really did just use air and a toothbrush to knock all of that stuff loose and just blow it out of there. And as you can see, the motherboard looks really well as well. The fan, the heat sink, all of that stuff. I just brushed around the components really gently and used my air to blow that stuff off, and it is good to go. So now we set it back inside of the bottom casing and making sure everything lights up. It only goes in one way, and to make sure it sets in just fine, just pick up the Xbox and look at the back. Everything lines up perfectly and we're good to go. Alright, next what we're going to do is go ahead and mount that clip back onto the disk drive. So if you look on the clip, there's this plastic nub right here, and it mounts into the back side of that clip, or the disk drive where there's a hole. Go ahead and mount that and clip it back into place. Once that's done, go ahead and lay the disk drive back into the Xbox and make sure everything lines up. You can go ahead and attach those 2 connectors like previously before. Alright, next we're going to go ahead and take our hard drive and place it back into the Xbox and connect it as well. So once again, there's no screws. You just simply place it back in there, and there's these little plastic rods that stick out, and they're going to fall right into place. It might take a little bit to align it, but once it's aligned, it's going to fit snug and it won't go anywhere. Right here it sinks in, and we're good to go. And just like before, we're going to take those connectors and reconnect them back to the motherboard. They just pop right in, make sure they go in nice and snug, and our hard drive is set. Something I forgot to emphasize about the disk drive. So if you want to make sure it's aligned right, look right here. You have a piece of padding that protects the disk drive from that piece of metal coming in against the side of it. That padding is an indicator of where that metal used to sit. Make sure it's aligned, because then whenever you put this cover back on, your screws won't line up. Anyways, let's connect back to this connector with the metal cover and go ahead and pop that in, and let's get our metal cover put back on. Once this is put on or connected, then we just lay our cover back down like we're closing a book or closing a pizza box, and make sure everything lines up. It should be flush, it should be snug, and all of your holes should line up. All right, go ahead and grab your screws and go ahead and start placing them back in. If you don't remember where they go, that's okay. Pause the video right here and take note of where they're at and go ahead and place them back in. Now don't tighten these too tight, don't over tighten them. This is a metal cover just secured to the rest of the Xbox, which is going to be encased by the plastic casing, so there's no need to over tighten whatsoever, just making sure things are held in place. Next, we're going to go ahead and replace our Wi-Fi card. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we place it on that connector like we removed it from previously. You just simply line it up and apply pressure and place it down. There won't be any snaps or anything, but you'll feel the resistance as you push it back in. Right here are the two holes where the screws go. So go ahead and grab those two small Phillips screws, place them back in, screw them down snug, and then go ahead and reconnect your Wi-Fi wire because we're going to reconnect the other end in here in a little bit. Go ahead and pick up your Xbox and stand it on the back end so that way you can see the front portion. What we're going to do is go ahead and reconnect that other Wi-Fi wire. It's going to go in right here. You just grab it and apply a little bit of pressure and it should snap back into place. Once the Wi-Fi wire is connected, then we're going to go ahead and move on to the speaker wire to connect whenever you push the power button and it plays those tones. So go ahead and place it in there. It only goes in one way and snaps in just like that. Next, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our ribbon cable. Now, this is a slider, so it goes forward and goes back, but you want to make sure that it is fully open so that way you can receive the ribbon cable with no resistance. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to remove the faceplate from the top cover. It's going to make installation of that ribbon cable a lot easier, as well as the rest of the Xbox case. So as you can see here, it has all these little tabs here. Somebody had tried to open this previously because one of those is broken. I just noticed that. But anyways, what you're going to do is you're going to do apply pressure with your left hand and lift up on those tabs with your right hand. And as you do that, you can see that gap starting to form from the faceplate to the top cover. So keep just applying pressure and releasing those tabs, and then your faceplate will come off with no problems. As you can see, this popped off relatively easy. Now, if you do want to put it back on, it's as simple as lining up all of the clips and the holes and just applying pressure, and it'll snap back on. So that's what we're going to need to remember for reassembling the Xbox. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and find that ribbon cable, and we're going to go ahead and make sure we slide that back in there. Be mindful of that wraparound piece and make sure it stays out of the way as you try to insert that back into the connector. It's a little finicky because it is ribbon cable after all. It is a little bit flimsy, but just take your time and insert it in there, and then don't forget to close those little sliders. I like to do one end and then work my way down to the other. That's nice and snug, and now we push down that wraparound plastic piece around the connector. This keeps the ribbon cable from having too much tension on the connection side. Alright, this next part right here is very crucial. It is probably one of the most tedious parts in reassembly of the Xbox. So right here, if you look at the bottom, where the bottom corner mirrors up with the Xbox, you see all those little nubs. You want to align those and apply pressure from the bottom, and then rotate that pressure from the bottom to the top. It's kind of like rolling it on there. So now the front face is connected to the Xbox. And the checkpoint is right here at the bottom. You can see there's no gap in the seam. Once again, I'll show you from this angle. You start from the bottom, line everything up, and apply the bottom pressure and work your way to the top, and you kind of just roll it onto the Xbox. Just like that. And then one more time from the side. Notice how there's no seam. I know it's kind of hard to see, but once again, we're going to go ahead and pull it off. Now we're going to align everything, and then I'll apply pressure from the bottom, and then just roll it forward, just like that. All right, remember the checkpoint for the Xbox is making sure that there are no gaps in that bottom seam. All right, what I'm going to show you here is how to prep it for the top cover being inserted. So go ahead and back off the faceplate just a little bit. So as you can see here in this video, there's a gap I leave between the lip of the metal cover and those little plastic clips sticking out. I back it off just a little bit where there's either a little bit of a space or a gap, or where they're flush. What this does, this allows space for us to insert our top cover. Now as you can see right here, this top cover has these little hooks or these little notches, and that's where we're going to mirror in our faceplate. Right there. It's as simple as mounting them up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and lay that top cover down front end first, mount up those holes, and press the faceplate onto the cover first. This is going to make sure the faceplate goes past any clips on the sides. Once that's done, start pushing down the top cover on the sides and the corners of the Xbox, working your way in a circular motion. It doesn't matter which side you start on, just make sure you go in a circular motion. Now what you want to do is you want to check that front, make sure there's no gap. That's a nice tight seam, and then go along the sides. There's no gap. It's a nice tight seam, and then same thing for the back. Now whenever you get to the back right, there is a clip that does need a little bit of additional pressure. Right here we're good, but then as you see right here, there is a little bit of a gap. So all you do is just apply a little bit of pressure and then close it down nice and snug. All right, our gaps are good. Our top cover is reassembled. So now what we're gonna do is get that little weird triangle looking piece, and look right here, there are some little tracks, and we wanna make sure those tracks are aligned with those little bars on the case. So go ahead and align those and simply slide it in. Once again, there's no clips, it just slides in and fits nice and snug. Go ahead and grab that cover for the side piece of the Xbox and insert it from the sync button and USB port side first, and just work your way down. It slides in so easy. Probably one of the easiest things to put on and take off. So right here, our Xbox is complete, but just do a once over, check all the seams and make sure everything looks right, fits right. There's no gaps. Everything looks like it was before. And so far our check looks good. All the ports match up. Everything is looking phenomenal. And if your Xbox looks like mine and you're satisfied with it, go ahead and hook it up, get your gaming on. And if you like what you see, please give a thumbs up and please consider becoming a subscriber. That's all I got for now. I'm SpeeDemon8706. I'll catch you later.